Hello, everyone. Wow, I see I have people chatting already. Well, that is awesome. Let's see who's here. Rebecca was first. Thank you. Oh, yes. And it's public, right? Rebecca had a new baby. And yes, congratulations. 10 days old. Oh, loves to nurse and sleep. Sounds like a baby. Things most babies love. Should not say all, but yes. And oh, Danny made it. Hi. I know she is working at her coffee shop, so I didn't know if she'd be able to make it. And everyone's saying hello to each other. That's great. And talking to each other. So listening from the coffee truck. Outschool's been slow for me. Thinking of stopping for a while. I sort of stopped for the summer, but I had a few good things happen, which I'll tell you guys about in a minute. I know. If I was 2 minutes late at VIP Kid, it would be a no-show. You know, I heard, I'm not still teaching at VIP Kid, but I heard they're still charging $10 for no-shows, even though they're paying less. I do think that's unfair. If you're going to pay less, maybe you should charge like $7 for a no-show or something. My Outschool was slowing down before the baby came, and I'm stopping for a month. I really hope it picks up. So, yeah. All right. So since you guys are already chatting about it, and one of my math classes fills up, I wish it was reading. Math is not my favorite. Yes, and she's charging a good amount, despite what I said last week. If you're charging a higher number and you're getting booked, then keep doing it. Math and science teachers, always in high demand. Always. All right. So, yes, things have been slow for me for the summer to the point where I pretty much just stopped, aside from like a flex class and a few things here and there. But so next week, next Monday, all of my ongoing classes that I put on hold restart. So this week that we're in right now, I had a videography 2-day camp full, and for me, full is 7 students. And what else? Oh, I had 2 one-time classes on the 3 branches of government. The one yesterday had 5 learners, and the one on Thursday has 6. So it's still time for it to get one more learner, which is my full. So that is great. And I've had a lot of new signups for the fall. My ongoing civics class, I think, as of last night, I opened a new section. So now I have 6 sections open. 3 of them are full. 1 of them's almost full. So let me know, did you guys lower your prices on your classes that aren't booking? Of course, if they're booking at that price, keep them at that price. And did it make a difference? Anyone? Let me know after our conversation last week. Okay, so that is really good. Let's see, the new Christian platforms, the one that I'm really teaching on is Teach Me Truth. I tried a one-time class that didn't book. I still haven't gotten all my stuff up for the flex class. I start brick and mortar next Monday. So Monday, all my ongoing classes restart and my brick and mortar starts. I'm starting new classes and new sections after Labor Day. I figure some people want to start before Labor Day and some want to start after. So I have options for both. And I have 1 section of Diary of a Wimpy Kid open still. I kind of had the other sections didn't book, so then I wanted to add classes that were booking in those slots anyway. I have heard that the algorithm puts you up higher if you have at least 3 sections open, but it is what it is. So I'm probably going to lower my science ongoing class from $10 for 45 minutes to $9, okay? And you know, one thing that I did, Kathy, because a lot of my classes were 45 minutes, I lowered them to 40, because there's also occasionally, especially if I get a class that doesn't talk a lot or like a class with lower, that I've had trouble filling that last 5 minutes. And I'm like, I'm just going to lower the time instead of my price. I can still be on that $9 and under, search filter. Yeah. And then with them asking everybody to raise their prices, I'm going to be still, under that. And I've been searching my classes, and a lot of people are still keeping their classes. There's still a lot of classes under $9, even ones that are more than 30 minutes. So I don't think everybody's taking their advice. Interesting what you said. If you have 3 sections, it bumps the algorithm. I don't have any with 3. Okay. I have just heard that from other teachers. Of course, Outschool is not going to tell us their algorithm. That's just what I've seen from, the teachers who've been on a long time, in the Facebook group. So even if you have one of your sections starting months from now, like if you want to have a section starting out in January, I heard it bumps you in the algorithm. I just don't have time, especially with brick and mortar. This class I can't finish in less than 45. I started it less and didn't work. It involves making a project. I see. Yeah, sometimes it's trial and error to decide how long a class should be. I have most of my classes at 40 or 45 at Outschool. And then at Budbee, I have a virtual 2 classes that are virtual field trips. And just because I've always done it that way, I had them at 40 and 45 and they did not work. I ran out of stuff to talk about. I think they got bored. It's kind of like showing someone your personal vacation pictures. After 30 minutes, you're good. So anyways, my point was it does take a little trial and error to figure out how long your classes should be. I might change mine from 10 to 9 soon, 30 minutes. Okay, well, how's it booking with 10? If it's booking well, then obviously don't change it. So Danny has said, I hope you don't mind me sharing this, Danny, but she had a math class at 15. I'm guessing that's for 30 minutes. And it's full, then hey, keep it if it's full. Like I said, math and science always in high demand. Of course, at my brick and mortar school, what do they have left? They still need to hire the upper level science, of course. So last week I had training for that. Next week I start. And then with that and all the new things I'm trying to do, it seems like there's always something that has to be done. I think I just need to make a list, not get overwhelmed by it, but just when I have time, check off the list. There's mandatory training at brick and mortar. I need to upload things on the new Christian platform. I don't know. There's just always something, always. Times when you get overwhelmed with all the prep work, times like that, sometimes I go, I wish I was like VIP kid where it was all done for me. But one thing I'm doing this year is I'm not doing any new classes. I'm only repurposing old material, even if it's on another site. Sometimes I may need to tweak it. Sometimes I may need to add a lesson, but I'm not doing completely new things. It's just too much. All right, let me share the Outschool email. There was really only one from last week to this week. So it's all about different types of homeschooling. If you are a homeschooler, let me know what type of homeschooling you do. So learn more about the norms and expectations of popular schooling styles, homeschooling, unschooling. And then I'm going to go into the more information. They also talk about just in general different types of learners on Outschool, which also includes kids that go to public or private school during the day and take Outschool as a supplemental thing. Okay, create an inclusive classroom. So this is all about there's seminars and other videos you can watch that help you have a more inclusive classroom. And then they have some live events. Okay, so I'm going to go into some more information all about all about the different types of homeschooling, unschooling. Let me know if you've homeschooled, what kind you did. All right, homeschooling, unschooling, how do I teach? Communicate with learners and families about their styles. So depending on your experience and interest is how Outschool wants you to teach. There's different kinds of approaches. So they've got homeschooling. About half the families on Outschool choose to homeschool at least one child. So that's kind of how Outschool started, was a supplement to homeschooling. So no surprise. I'm actually surprised it's not higher than 50%, but I think they've grown into a lot of other things. So a lot of people's reasons for homeschooling is they have a child with, ADHD or dyslexia, advanced abilities, or something else. I'm lucky because my school system is really good at working with people who need extra help, and also has programs for gifted, but not all public schools have those, and then people might look to homeschooling for those types of things. So there's different approaches. So here's their brief descriptions, bullet points: structured and traditional at-home school. Basically doing kind of like trying to replicate traditional school in your homeschool. Interest in child-led learning may be called unschooling. All right, so I have to say, please no one be offended. This is just, sometimes you have a first impression when you first find out. I have to say the first impression I had of unschooling, and this was years ago, I think I heard about it on a talk show. I was like, you just let your kids do whatever they want? Kids just choose? That just sounds crazy. But I've learned since that, that's not what it's all about. So, yes. Good. No new classes, Kelly, since you have a brick and mortar also. Yes, it was too much last year. I'm glad I did civics because it's been a popular class, but trying to do that and brick and mortar was too much. Homeschoolers pay my bills. Exactly. I mostly have homeschool students, and now that the pandemic has eased, since I don't teach late afternoon classes. Me too. It is always a balance between your own personal schedule and what books. And the late afternoon classes do book, but it's not the best for me to spend time with my kids. Not that they always want to spend time with me. They're teenagers and they have after school sports and jobs. But I still kind of want to leave that open and be able to be there for them when I can. And that makes it hard. So, but I have to say I have a little of both. Like this week, my videography camp, and it's still summer for a lot of people. A lot of people have not gone back to school. It did fill up. So I do have some options for the non-homeschoolers as well. I'm going to see how long my longest attending learner has been in my science class and start my lessons over. Yes. And you know what? I start over just when I run out of topics, and I usually give some warning. I usually tell them like a month ahead of time or a few weeks, and then I'll remind them like right before Sunday if they want to unenroll. But I'll usually say, I'll word it something like, hey, if you want to stay in and learn the material again, it's a great review. And I'll say something like, I don't know about you, but sometimes I need to hear things more than once. Just because, especially in ongoing classes, you can't keep referring back to old classes, or you can't like build. It kind of has to be its own class. So if you don't get a lot of review, then repeating the material, I think, would be fine. And especially like, I don't know, topics such as maybe like Spanish, hearing it again might be a really good thing. I think I should also make a new one-time class so my followers get an email that I'm currently teaching. Yep, a good idea. I think that's great advice, and I know you give that advice a lot. Me personally, I don't like to clutter up that's just a personal thing. I mostly teach afternoon during nap time. Okay, and then you're in central time. But afternoon, I think late afternoon really does book. It books well. Like when I used to have a 3 or 4 o'clock class, that would book. My son, they changed the hours for high school, and now he gets out at 2 o'clock. But with the bus, I really could do a 2 o'clock class and still be out at 3. But I know I know there's a lot more learners that want to take the later classes, and they do book better. Okay, so let me go back to this. Okay, so what I understand about unschooling now is you kind of do let the child, their interests go, steer where you go in homeschooling. And I have to say, even as a brick and mortar teacher, like you do have to be more structured in a brick and mortar school, but I also take a little bit of those ideas of unschooling where maybe child-led, and so I have tests and quizzes where like everybody has to know the same material, but then I let them do a big project at the end where they get to choose the country. Like you choose which country in Africa or South America that you're most interested in, and you give it. So I I feel like that is kind of I guess, taking the unschooling idea where you let the kids a little bit have a say and then they're more interested. Okay, so here's some others. Project-based education, that is becoming more and more popular, I have to say, even in the schools. Unit studies. So classical education focusing on great books and teaching children in 3 stages called the trivium. I don't know much about that. If anyone does, comment. The Charlotte Mason philosophy with nature studies and living books. I don't know much about that either, but I have seen a lot of people on the Facebook pages asking for that. Faith-based schooling, which Outschool doesn't really allow, but I guess you could use some of the ideas without the religion part. It'd be tricky to do that, but secular education, the majority of the homeschool families on Outschool have a secular approach. I'm guessing that's because it's kind of more Outschool's philosophy. You know, is it the chicken or the egg? Did more people come on the platform? Which one came first? You know what I mean? So families who homeschool may try a variety of approaches to education and adapt as these needs changes. Definitely, I've known a lot of people who homeschool and they try different things and see what works for each family and what works for each child. What do homeschool families like about Outschool? So these are the things they like: a wide range of classes not found in other places, including those that address niche interests and appropriate learning. I mean, that is the good thing about Outschool. Like, you don't just have history. You can have like a very, very small part of history, whatever that is, and then blow it up and dive deeper. You know what I mean? The opportunity to interact socially with others in class. A variety of class times, which gives family flexibility. I mean, and with Outschool being all over the world, you can teach at any time you want to teach. Exposure to new perspectives and global educators and classmates. Yes. I'm not going to say teachers from around the world because they only accept teachers from certain countries, but at least you get a variety. A homeschool-friendly approach that accepts non-traditional education practices and joining class from the yard, a bed, or a tent. Yes. And even like unschooling, typically, you know, there aren't a lot of outside resources for that. You know, there are some classes and I've seen organizations geared towards that. Let's see. Traditional schooling. So they talk about how Outschool learners also go to traditional schools. I have had students in my book clubs that they go to school during the day and they just like the books and want to be in a book club that talk about them. Those are when my late afternoon classes come in to play, or my earlier classes. I have had students from Slovakia and the UK because our afternoon is there after school. So you get that too. Academic focus. So these classes are enrichment or remediation, and this is where one-on-one tutoring classes come in. I don't do a lot of one-on-one tutoring on Outschool. I have like one ESL client left. Anyway, I don't do a lot of this on Outschool, but this is a great niche to get into. And if you're new, it's kind of hard to break in right now. One-on-one would be a great place to start. And those are people who kind of maybe they got behind in the pandemic, or they just really need help on one particular topic, maybe math or something. You can tutor them. Socialization, so they may want video games, chess, drawing, book clubs, like I was talking about, gamification activities, discussions. My book clubs are mostly discussions, skill building options. So I would think things like art and stuff would fall into that category. Oh, here we go. They have another one, extracurricular. So people in brick and mortar, more coding, crafts, drama, sports, nutrition, the list goes on. And then other education approach, alternatives to regular schooling. Danny, the Montessori method, right here on the top bullet point. Based on the teachings of Maria Montessori. So it's hands-on and individualized learning. And I know, Danny, you have said that you put Montessori in your title and you got more people signing up. A lot of people are specifically looking for that. And Waldorf Education, I've heard of it. I know it's something with homeschooling. So academic, practical, artistic, and then non-traditional approaches to in-person schooling, flipped classrooms. That's like VIP Kid used to do. That invite high family engagement, inquiry-based education, and place-based learning. Learner-led education. So let's see. Okay, so people who are neurodiverse, I've heard a lot of people asking for that on the Facebook pages. They speak another primary language, so English is not their first language. I try to put ESL friendly on most of my classes because I have an ESL background, and then, yeah. So why not put that on there? And if over time, if you haven't already, you're likely to find a niche where you can highlight. So let's see what are your thoughts on all of that? I had to cough. I didn't want to cough in your face. Okay. I'd be curious to know how Outschool knows that the majority of the families have a secular approach. Do they send surveys about this to parents? Good question. I'm guessing that they do. They probably hear people talk. I'm guessing that they do send surveys and things like that. How do you all advertise your classes? Well, I advertise my classes. I go to the discount groups. Sometimes if I really want to fill up a class, usually within 24 hours, I'll post my own. But I do find that you get more of a response if you reply to someone who's asking. I will go in the search bar of these discount groups and I will search for, and I'll do the keyword looking for. Sometimes you do get classes where people are like looking for something fun. Here you go. But usually you get like, I'm looking for a writing, a math, a science class for an 8-year-old or whatever. So I do that. And then what two I search the most are my own group, Outschool free and discounted classes. And then the official one from Outschool is Outschool online learning. And then I'm in a bunch of different like Facebook groups where they allow you certain days of the week to post your classes. I will do that. I have a Facebook page, Outschool Teacher Kelly. I don't know if that does a whole lot. I put a pin up on Pinterest of all my classes. I have no idea if I get people from that. If I have, I haven't known, but it doesn't take long to put up a pin. Maybe takes 5 minutes. So that's an easy thing to do. I do that. What do the rest of you do? I've never tried paid ads, excuse me, but I have seen people that do. I'm also in a couple Facebook groups that are just for generic advertising of any online classes. So yeah, I'm trying to think. I guess YouTube, sort of, I advertise my classes here. I know my channel's more geared toward teachers, but I do put my class videos up. Maybe that has gotten me at least a handful that I know of. Maybe some have joined without me knowing. How about the rest of you? How do you advertise your classes? Okay, and then I'll quickly show you this. This was the other part of the more information for email. It's about like diversity, inclusion, belonging. And while I'm showing this, tell me the rest of you, how do you advertise your classes? Okay, so these are just different workshops and videos you can watch and you can take. Yes. So I've tried a few times on YouTube, okay? And in what way do you just get on there and say, these are my classes? I've thought about kind of making one for my civics class only because I feel like that is one area that people are looking for. And I could somehow put homeschool in the title. And I don't know if someone's searching YouTube for homeschool. I've thought about doing something like that. I I'm starting to feel like almost all advertising is a waste of time. Oh, sorry about that. Unless the parents are asking for a specific class. I did get a few signups when I put my 3 branches of government class on the Outschool site, on the Outschool free and discounted. But there are times when I put it up there and I get nothing. And it was like a Saturday night too. And I remember, or maybe it was a Friday night. I remember thinking, yeah, I probably should wait. No one's going to be looking at these groups on like a Friday night. And they actually were. But yeah, it can be tricky. And I know, Kathy, you mostly do ESL. So maybe for you, you have to advertise more where even more ESL students are looking. For my PE class, maybe I should do more. Yeah, and sometimes you don't know where people come from. And then there's other times I will advertise, I'll give a discount, I'll advertise in a few different places, and then I'll get someone who just found me on the Outschool website. And how do I know they found me there? Because they didn't use my coupon code. You know, it's like if you put up a coupon code and then you see people used it, you know where they came from. And then suddenly you'll get someone like who paid full price. So I honestly still think most people go to Outschool and search for their classes to find what they're looking for. And I think most still come that way. Make sure you have keywords in both your title and that one-liner description, the like big description that doesn't show up in the search when they search. And then, yeah, like I said, I price my classes at 9 and under, so I show up under one more search feature. And yeah, I mean, that's the best you can do. And then if you do all of those things and still, I mean, you know me, you guys, try other things. I always have a million things going on. So like over the summer, Outschool was slow. I worked more at my video company, which they had more work, and now they're slowed down and Outschool's picking up. So just like me, always have a million things. And if one thing gets slow, do something else. Yes. And then diversify within, you know, have several different types of classes on Outschool, several different times as far as your schedule allows and things like that. Yes. Well, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and end this. It's always fun talking to you guys. I'll let you know when you see me next Tuesday, I will have had 1 day under my belt at brick and mortar. And Friday I have orientation. So I'll let you know how that goes. Thank you, all of you who watch and who are going to watch later. And I will see you guys next time. Bye. Zaijian. See ya.